Shock and disappointment. Those were the emotions felt by the family and friends of Matthew Hedges on his being sentenced to life in an Abu Dhabi jail. The 31-year-old was detained last May after completing some academic research. He'd hoped to be freed, but instead he was convicted of spying. His friends can't believe it.
Terrible for the family and also very scary for us who are colleagues of Matt and are doing our own research as well, because what this episode tells the world is that there is a new and different way of repressing academic research as well as journalists as well as analysts alike.
Hedges works at Durham University and insists he is innocent. He says he was researching security strategy. The university's backing him up. Even before the sentencing, his wife Daniela was at her wit's end.
I have done absolutely everything in my power in order to get Matt back home safely. And he is a British citizen, and the British government owe him that duty. I don't know what they should do or how they should do it, but I do feel that they should have much more arduous efforts towards bringing him back home safely to me.
The UK government has denied Hedges ever spied for them, despite reports that he signed a confession written in Arabic, but which he doesn't understand.
We see absolutely no evidence for any of the charges laid against him. We're very concerned for his welfare. The UAE is supposed to be a friend and ally of Britain's. We've given them repeated assurances about Matthew. And, you know, if we can't resolve this, there are going to be serious diplomatic consequences.
Britain does have strong links with the UAE, both in business and in education, and about 120,000 UK nationals live there. Experts in the UAE judiciary have said the life sentence of 25 years is not final. Hedges can appeal. Evelyn Laverick, Euronews.
Well, let's get some more on that story with Alistair Sanford in the studio. Good morning, Alistair.
Good morning, Belle.
Just weeks ago, it looked like the British Foreign Office had managed to secure a release of Matthew Hedges. Now we're seeing this. I mean, it's a fairly shocking turnaround.
Yes, this has stunned lots of people. As you say, Matthew Hedges had been released on bail in late October. It looked like that was paving the way for a definitive release. And now, of course, he's facing a life sentence. The UAE's Attorney General has issued a statement saying that he pleaded guilty, saying that there was compelling legal evidence that was presented to him, and defending the way the case was carried out, saying that there were thorough judicial investigations and that he was accorded his full rights to a fair and transparent trial. Now, to many outsiders, that looks like utter nonsense. Durham University says the judgment was in the absence of anything resembling due process or a fair trial. As we've heard, yesterday's proceedings lasted 5 minutes. His lawyer wasn't present. His family says that during the first 6 weeks of his detention, he was interrogated without a lawyer and he had no consular access. And that's during the period during which he's said to have signed that confession in Arabic. Durham says there was no evidence that he was doing anything other than carrying out legitimate academic research. We heard there from the British Foreign Secretary, Jeremy Hunt, and Theresa May says that the government is raising it at the highest level with the authorities, and they will continue to press the case.
What about the political implications of all of this? I mean, the UK and the UAE normally have strong ties.
Well, yes, political and economic implications. Yes, of course, the United Arab Emirates gives the image of being a glossy, modern country. The ties are very close between the UK in particular, but other European countries as well. Thousands of companies do business. British universities are present out there. But observers say that, well, there's something increasingly darker going on behind the scenes, and that their stance is increasingly intolerant and repressive. It's said there are sensitivities in particular over the aftermath of the Arab Spring. Human Rights Watch says it's not just the UAE, but other countries like Saudi Arabia as well. They've noticed a clampdown that's even more fierce over the last year, with dissent not being tolerated. And they accuse the West of failing in their in failing to stand up to it, saying their diplomatic approach has failed. It seems that in the UAE in particular, we know that several people have been caught up in what seems to be a pretty arbitrary judicial system. There are many victims of injustice where pretty innocuous events, suddenly they end up getting thrown in jail, sometimes for months on end. There's an organisation called Detained in Dubai, which has documented these cases and says it helps people facing what they say are sometimes unbelievable situations they never imagined possible. Now, some Conservative MPs in the UK are now calling for a change of stance for a much more robust defence of fundamental human rights. The question, of course, is how that will be translated into policy.